more important to these people?
Clashing between police and protesters over the issue of race has become a common occurrence, one which seems to be reaching its tipping point. Brittany Packman, one of the most prominent leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement, explained to us why so many people came out to the White House.
Chaos aside, what do you think brought people out tonight?
People being clear that you can't sit on the sidelines anymore. We are not confused that this isn't the America that we've always been in. This is confirmation for us, but for some people it is a wake-up call. So this was a conversation very clearly about a choice that was made at the federal level. Lots of the protests that happened here, though, happened because of the work of local organizers, because of issues of local police violence, right? Local issues of poverty, local issues of what's happening with young people in juvenile justice.
The Black Lives Matter movement itself gained attention after a local shooting rocked the town of Ferguson, a suburb of St. Louis. The shooting of unarmed teen Mike Brown was just the first of what would become a series of police killings, caught on camera and shared on social media. All appeared to have common themes of excessive force on black victims and little accountability for the officers involved. But while the Black Lives Matter movement is most known for its protests, behind the scenes, Brittany Packman and other leaders of the movement have been developing a comprehensive plan for action known as Campaign Zero.
What's the difference between Campaign Zero and Black Lives Matter movement?
So it's a comprehensive policy platform to end police violence in the United States. It is a platform that articulates what the solutions can look like so that we're able to get to a place where police violence isn't in the past.
One of Campaign Zero's biggest efforts is pulling statistics on police killings from local news, social media, and national databases. They analyze the data to compare police departments in cities across the country.
What we do is actually use the data to answer important questions about what's going on. There are some police departments that are not killing anybody, and there are police departments that are killing people, at extraordinary rates. Depending on the month, St. Louis is either the #1 or #2 highest police department in terms of police-involved killings. And almost everybody killed by St. Louis Police Department is black. Almost everybody, it's like about 90%.
Campaign Zero calls for simple reforms, like increased training on de-escalation, community oversight, and the ability to independently investigate and prosecute cases of extreme negligence or bias. But to date, St. Louis has only adopted 2 laws that apply to those proposed policies. We met up with the police chief of the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department to find out why reforms are so slow.
One of the outgrowths of the Ferguson protest was this group called Campaign Zero. And we looked at some of it's a 10-point policy platform, independent investigations into police shootings, body cams. Why is it so difficult to get these policy solutions actually utilized by police forces?
Here's the balance. That group doesn't represent the entire community. There are people that want us to do more aggressive style policing. There are people that want us to do more stop and frisk, if you will, just as an example. And it's the law enforcement's job, it's the police chief's job to find the balance in their community between those. We've done a lot of the things that are there, but law enforcement doesn't get any credit for it.
At the moment, 97% of police will never face jail time for killing someone. A lot of people say that contributes to the erosion of trust between the community and police officers.
So I think we have to look at every case individually. The question is did they violate a law? Because in that case, what you just told me is 97% of the officers followed the law, only 3% didn't. I don't know because I haven't looked at every one of those cases, but that's really where we have to start.
A common argument against many basic reforms is that places with higher crime rates call for a more aggressive style of policing. We wanted to look at the relationship between police and community, and the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department granted us access to the first ride-along since Ferguson.
It's just, you can't just walk up to a car anymore and expect to just talk to someone and say, hey, this is what you did wrong. Now you got to worry about walking up to a car and somebody pulling out a gun and shooting you.
Post Ferguson and stuff, I want to show people that we're not all bad. You know, kind of a goal of mine is to get a thank you from somebody.
While the police could not confirm how this gun was acquired, arrests like this are a common occurrence in the streets of St. Louis. What was shocking, however, was how quickly the bystanders turned on the police.
Has it made your job harder, the sort of tension between the black community in St. Louis and the police?
I'm the traitor because I don't put down my gun and badge, as they all say, and come join them and protest. I'm the traitor, the Uncle Tom. I get that one a lot.
Over the course of one night, police made 2 arrests and seized 2 illegal guns, in what appeared to us to be standard police work. But Chief Williams, of the neighboring suburb of Kinloch, formerly spent 10 years on the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, witnessing firsthand both the good and bad side of policing.
Could you talk a little bit about what it's like to be, in our current climate, a black man and a police officer?
Most police officers out here are handling their business 24/7 with dignity and honesty. You know, one thing you have to always keep in mind about policemen and police work is that policemen risk their lives to help people they don't even know. But you have to always look at that one apple can spoil the bunch philosophy too. You know, it was shocking one time. I was talking to some officers and they said, you know, black people are genetically predisposed to be criminals.
Good officers say that to you.
To my face. If you're telling me that people of color or black people are genetically predisposed to be criminals, that pretty much says volumes to me.
And that's really going to color how you go out there and police that community, right?
Can't do anything but that. Can't do anything but that because you've automatically prejudged. I can count at least 4 times in my life when the police, before I became a policeman, were prepared to kill me, had weapons on me, and I was feared of my life, only because I existed. We have to figure out a way for those few to either change their behavior, get back on board as honest, just officers, or leave the profession.
One of the main issues in fixing this is that there is no unified policing policy, making it difficult for the 18,000 police departments across the country to move together on reforms. In St. Louis, things are so fractured that they actually have 2 separate police unions, one which is predominantly white and one which is, by its own metrics, 99% black.
We are a group of officers and civilians who are about trying to be a voice for our community and our officers.
We watched officer after officer share their concerns.
It's 2016. That's 50 years of black officers being on these streets, in service, on patrol, 7 days a week, 30 or 31 days a month, 365 days a year continuously to this very moment. And I can't think of it, if you can't, sir, or any other officer in this room can think of a black officer that has ever shot at an unarmed white person. Please tell me. Restraint is possible.
Here in St. Louis, there's a white police association and there's a black police association. What does that say about how policing is done here in St. Louis?
Well, again, it says that race impacts everything, including policing in America. We have to have a black police officers association because the other association is not taking our interests serious. It's not taking us seriously when we say that we want policing in our communities to be done differently.
This racial division is nothing new. This police association was formed during the Civil Rights Movement, and nearly 50 years later, released a 112-page report outlining racial bias within the department.
If we have to take the lead in some areas, we will. because our department has created a lot of issues with our leadership or lack thereof.
Heather Taylor, a sergeant for the St. Louis Metropolitan Police and president of the Ethical Society, says they are a necessary voice for minorities within the department.
There is a need for us to have an association because we haven't been represented within the St. Louis Police Officers Association fairly. So of course there is a separate Police Officers Association here. There's a need for it. Since Mike Brown was shot and killed, we've had one course. So you're talking about 8 hours since the civil unrest of St. Louis City and Ferguson to address implicit bias. That's it. We are so divided that it's just, sometimes when I think about our police department, I'm embarrassed. I love other officers of all races on this department because they're my friends. I tell you what, when I'm pulled over, my hands are on that steering wheel, I'm looking forward, I turn on my light, it's real.
If even black police officers are fearful during interactions with other police, it's no wonder average black citizens around America are also scared.
When you get down here in the city, it's a whole nother monster. You're talking about kids their age, getting off the school bus, getting pushed up against brick walls by detectives. White people can see Sasquatch, they can see the abominable snowman, they can see the Loch Ness monster, but these motherfuckers can't see racism. I don't understand it.
You gotta remember, a couple weeks after Ferguson, cause Jimmy Powell got killed down the street.
Oh my God. I'm scared for him. The police look at him and they don't see a 10-year-old little boy. They don't know that he on the honor roll. He a terror to them.
Fear, though, is not only felt by the community, but by police as well. The recent calculated attacks on officers have sent shockwaves through precincts nationwide.
Police across the country on high alert right now after 4 police officers were shot in 4 separate cities.
We've lost 12 officers, I don't care what race they are, that were shot and killed in 30 days.
This officer was driving down the road and was ambushed.
The St. Louis Police Wives Association shared their fears about the escalating violence.
We call it a crisis because law enforcement has become disenfranchised with the community or disconnected seeing protests just because they're wearing a uniform.
You concerned that it's gotten more unsafe?
We know it. Just sitting at this table here, you have 2 women whose husbands have almost been killed. Myself and her husband.
And your husband's been shot at?
Mm-hmm. Oh, shot. They've all been shot at.
All your husbands
But mine particularly was ambushed. We had protesters show up out in front of the hospital, protesting with signs that said, well, how does it feel? We're also sitting at home now watching our communities implode. But now we can at least all admit that we have a problem. That's the first thing. Okay, so revolution, problem. Now let's seek some solutions.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
As the new administration prepares to pull back federal oversight on police, one thing is clear. Policing needs to change if lives are to be saved. And ultimately, reform is in the hands of local police departments.
I don't know how to fix poverty. I don't know how to deal with education systems that are failing. What I do know is how to do police work. And when those things don't happen, we're left with communities that have greater demands on their law enforcement. But we have to solve them. We're going to continue to do this over and over and over again.
People don't understand what we deal with. Until you're actually put in those shoes, you have to try to defend yourself or someone else.
We're to the point where you have so much division. Both sides need to get it together.
You'll notice around the country more and more officers are beginning to speak out. We have to be the change that needs to be.
More than 36 million American adults live with physical disabilities.